Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, the Drafted Up podcast. That's Nick. I'm Theo. You know where to find us. We're on Twitter at DraftedUp_pod. But more importantly, you can find the show. You can watch it or listen to it on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Search Drafted Up Podcast, like, rate, subscribe, review, share, tell a friend, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your bros, tell your hoes, tell everybody. Today, we're going to dive in real quick to the wild card games. We're going to dive a little deeper into the divisional games, and of course, we're not letting you leave here without a prospect. We're each bringing a guy to the table. Nicholas,
Leonard,
how you doing?
Doing good.
That's
Didn't
not my
have
name.
to worry about my team playing in the playoffs, so as a Giants fan, I'm cool, calm, and relaxed until September of next season, baby. So, well, that's not true. We got the draft. The draft's coming around. We picked 3. I would like us to pick 1, so I'd be pretty stressful in a couple months. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah,
you
will not be cool and calm until September, brother.
That's true. I forgot. We picked 3, and we need a quarterback. And if we don't get one, our quarterback could be Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers or some old white man that should probably not be playing football anymore. So, good God. What an offseason it might be.
Hey, you guys can have Sam.
Yeah, I'd take him. I'm not letting those last 2 games. Darnold is what Darnold is. He's going to not show up in big moments, but neither does Dak, dude. So Dak's out here getting millions and millions. So shot at Dak, but I look at him and Darnold as honestly almost the same quarterback.
Wow. Disrespecting Dak Prescott.
I think if you put Darnold on Dallas, dude.
Maybe Darnold's like the lower level. He's like the Pokemon evolution.
Sure,
He's the starter.
He is.
Pokemon. And then he evolves in the Baker, and then Baker and the Dak. Though that gap's getting close.
I agree.
A fucking baller the last
I think
2
the gap
years
between Baker and
Tampa.
Dak is a lot closer now, but I don't know.
So what about Darnold to Geno to Baker?
No, I would take.
Or are you going Darnold and Geno?
Darnold and Geno are 100% the same tier. I would honestly probably take Darnold. He's a lot younger.
Well, yeah, Geno's like 60 years old.
He's an old man.
No, love Geno Smith, but all right. Wild card weekend.
It was a wild weekend for sure.
There was one
good game. One good game.
One real good game. Yeah. So, let's start with the first Saturday game. The classic Houston Texans time slot. They beat the Chargers.
Man,
we were
wrong.
32-12. And it's not even that like Houston played good football because the offense was real touch and go, but D'Amico Ryans had that defense playing with their hair ablazing. The defense was great. Justin Herbert threw 4 interceptions. He threw 3 all season.
A couple of them were off receivers' hands. They weren't all on Herbert. I'm not one to really back Herbert. I do like him, but you like him way more than me, and the general population likes Herbert more than I do. But it really, this game was 6-0 at half for the Chargers' favor. And then they just scored 6 more points all game, and Houston just shut them down, dude. Houston didn't play good. The Chargers just played worse. I talked about the Chargers. I don't think they're built this year to make a run, and it really showed this game. They're really challenged offensively. They have a lot of work to do this offseason. They're a good team, though. They're a well-coached team. They're going to be in battles.
You were concerned about their running attack, and I thought they had enough to just beat Houston. And you were right. J.K. Dobbins was 9 for 26. Gus Edwards was 7 for 22. They couldn't get it going on the ground, and really they couldn't get it going through the air either. Justin Herbert was 14 for 32. Ladd McConkey had 9 of those 14 touches.
Well, he also had a huge 80-yard touchdown too. He took to the house. It was a real laddie daddy play, dude. Ladd's the key to this offense.
He was not the problem. 9 for 197 as a rookie in your first playoff game. Incredible performance from Ladd McConkey.
Go get him another receiver, though. Get him some help on the outside. Eat up some of the coverage. Ladd can't do it himself. Get a running back in here and some key defensive spots. The Chargers will be good, though. They'll be fine.
Yeah. Defense is really good. Justin Herbert, I love Justin Herbert. They got 2 elite offensive tackles, Joe Walt, Rashawn Slater. So there's that. It's more getting more talent in-house and deep running back class. So I would expect them to dive into the well there. I don't see them really addressing the need in free agency. I expect them to bring Dobbins back and then draft a guy in the second or third round.
Yeah, it's a pretty deep running back class and pretty deep tight end class too. So I'm hoping they walk away with 2 keep spots there. There's a lot of good weapons in the draft. Receiver wise, it's hit or miss. It's not like last year's. Last year's was a deep receiver class, but there's still some good deep guys there. The Chargers really need to stock up on some weapons though.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to see them if they want to dive into the receiver market. I think T. Higgins is going to be out of their price range, but maybe they can get a guy like Chris Godwin on the cheap. Coming off the injury, Godwin with Ladd McConkey, draft Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland, bring in one of the running backs, whether it be Caleb Johnson, DJ Giddens, Amari and Hampton, and then you're cooking with fire.
Yeah, I agree. The other side of the ball, though, like Houston's 2 key guys really showed up. Mixon and Nico looked really well. And those 2 guys are the key to this offense. Like, Stroud's going to do what Stroud's done all season. Mixon struggled in the back end of the season, and Houston struggled in the back end of the season. So it's nice to see Mixon come out here 100 yards, touchdown. It was a good performance.
Yeah, and like you said, Nico Collins, 7 for 122 and a
Big
touchdown.
dog.
Absolute machine. Yeah, I think he's a first-round guy in fantasy next year.
I agree.
To probably a top 4 wide receiver.
Yeah.
But CJ Stroud, he played better than he has been. Like there were times where like he had a little confidence about him. He was just kind of playing loose, and that's what he needs to do. I think a lot of this season he kind of got in his head, maybe bought into his hype a little too much. Who knows? But he was a little looser, but he still made some bonehead plays. But he had that miraculous play where he was running around and he hit Nico after I think it was a bad snap where he dropped the snap.
Yeah, it was...
Or it was Xavier Hutchinson. He hit Xavier Hutchinson.
It was a first rough half for Stroud. It took him a while to get the gears really rolling. But Houston as a whole made great halftime adjustments. Like, they came out halftime, completely different team, and it showed. They put up 32 in the second half. So, like, it was a completely different ball game here for Houston.
Yeah, but
22 in the second half.
Good is Derek Stingley Jr.?
Oh my God, dude! He's one of the best corners in football, if not the best. He's right up there with Sauce and Surtain. Yeah, Surtain's probably Surtain took one. Surtain took one this year. Surtain's big dog for a quarterback this year.
But Stingley, he was my top prospect of his draft class. I loved him coming out of LSU. I had him over Sauce. Both are great, but Sauce, you saw the struggles this year, but that's just the life of an NFL corner. Dude, it's a big up and down.
It's impossible.
Derek Stingley, though, he took that leap into
he's in the same realm with all those other guys.
Territory this season.
Yeah, it's impossible. Denzel Ward is another guy that's amazing, but it's so hard for corners to be consistently top 5 in statistics because like it's so hard to be a corner. Covering receivers, you have no help sometimes on the back. So, like, corner's so hard to play, dude. So, it's really good to see guys, quote for quote, consistently do it. But, like, Stingley was great at LSU coming out. Sauce is a dog. It doesn't matter the setback. The whole Jets had a setback this year. So, it's great that there's a lot of good young corners in the NFL. Yeah. Joey Porter's another one.
And corner, another, it's a position, like you said, it's real touching. It's tough to scout,
so
too.
hard.
Like, you can have a guy who's putting out great tape and then think of like Josh Newton from TCU going into the like spring. A lot of people saw him as a first round guy. He had a great year, and then his that season was just a bad year, and he ended up going 5th round in Cincinnati. He's played great for them this season as a 5th round pick. That's just how touch and go it is. Like it's real hard to like find that ground. Like, do you buy more into the good tape, or do you buy? It's hard to find the middle ground between the good and the bad tape on a lot. It's
also a lot of confidence thing. Like, if a great corner just loses confidence one year, it's really hard to get that back in the NFL. And you just see guys never play the same just based off one bad season, or even like an injury. They get hurt once and they just don't have the same explosiveness, the same step, back pedal. There's a lot that goes into corners. So it's a better NFL when there's a lot of good young players, and a lot of them are corners.
Yeah, kind of match up to the elite amount of receivers that we got in the league currently. Next up, also AFC, Baltimore beat Pittsburgh 28-14. This game felt like it was like
This
45.
game was exactly. This game was 35-0 if you would ask anyone who watched it. Like, this game was horrendous. It was boring. I texted you at one point, was the words that I texted you were, if Pittsburgh does not score on this drive, they need to put in Justin Fields. I do not back Justin Fields at all in this podcast. I've been a Russell Wilson guy the whole podcast length. What the hell happened, dude? And on that drive, they did end up scoring, though, which was hilarious. They put together a really nice drive. And I'm like, what the hell happened there? And they put together 2 good drives all game. And that's all it was. They had 2 good drives.
Yeah.
They played like shit.
Pittsburgh, like Houston, was coming into the playoffs not so great, 5-game losing streak.
They played like Houston.
Houston managed to put it together, and Pittsburgh did it. Baltimore just took advantage of them. And it's Lamar, 175 and 2 through the air. He had 81 on the ground. Derrick Henry.
King Henry, dog.
The weather gets cold, and that boy keeps going. 186 yards, 2 touchdowns. What an absolute machine this dude's been for Baltimore. Like, a take that has aged poorly is Derrick Henry's going to fall off. And you and I have been saying
it's never going to. Like, we've kind of like shied away from him the last 4 years. Like, we really don't want to be the one team that gets stuck with Henry when he finally breaks. And at what point do you just kind of say, fuck it, dude? Like, you ride or die with Henry. And we kind of went into the season this year. We were like, we were going to ride or die with Henry regardless. If he fails or not, based off the situation in Baltimore, it's going to be amazing. And it really has, dude. It's been flawless, dude, here in Baltimore with Henry. Same with Barkley and Philly, dude. Like, these elite backs on elite teams, it's just a benefit. And they just play so much better, dude. It's great to watch.
You can even throw Josh Jacobs. Oh, yeah,
for sure. For sure. Him and Green Bay is...
Like, we were wrong about Josh Jacobs.
For sure. I will eat the L on Jacobs, 100%. But I'm eating that big fat dub on Barkley, dog. That's for sure.
So Derrick Henry, how do you...
Next year?
Early on, where you projected him next year?
He's a first round guy
or early second?
It depends on how the board falls.
Similar to where he was going this year.
You feeling frisky? You taking him over McCaffrey?
Yeah, I am. Derrick Henry wasn't hurt this year. Christian McCaffrey was. I'm going to take the healthier guy on the better team, the better offense.
I'm telling you right now, wherever McCaffrey goes in fantasy, 98% of the chance it's going to be a steal. This is going to how it's going to be. I would still take him in the first round. I would still take McCaffrey in the first.
I think he's the guy. It's whatever your league mates are going to feel like. I would rather go and take my call Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan Robinson. I'll call my shot on Devon Achane. These are all guys I'm taking over Christian McCaffrey. Barkley, Derrick Henry. Like, I'm going to hold Christian McCaffrey sort of in my rankings, I think early on, in the same boat that I would hold Jonathan Taylor in.
He was back end of the first guy
to the mid-second. I'm taking Kyron over him.
Oh man, yeah, some of those guys are rough. I'll admit that. McCaffrey can just step on the field and be a league winner, but exactly, he is a true lottery ticket. He could easily lose you the season.
I'm living by the lifestyle. I'm not taking anybody who's coming into the season off an injury where they missed the majority of the year.
I get it, man. But you see all those lovely reports that if San Fran made the playoffs,
they made the
McCaffrey
playoffs.
was good to go.
Cool. Yeah. He was good to go to start the season too. I heard that,
dude.
Baltimore didn't even have Zay Flowers.
They didn't need him, and we talked about that. They easily could have sat him, and they did that. Yep. They knew it is what it is going versus Pittsburgh. We probably won't need Flowers, and Bateman ended up with a touchdown, and Lakely had a decent game. Andrews had a pretty rough outing, to be honest. But at the end of the day, it was King Henry. That's all they needed. They needed Lamar. They needed Henry. And we're just going to run the ball down your throats.
Yep. And then where's Pittsburgh go from here? Both quarterbacks not under contract going into next season. You think they bring Russ back?
I don't
think there's any way they bring Fields back. I know Justin Fields wants to come back.
Yeah, I don't think Fields will go. I don't know. Fields might be a safety net, to be honest, if they can't. I think Russ will be the fallback plan. Like, worst case scenario, we'll just get Russ back in here. But I think they kind of now make a move to try to get a different quarterback in the house. Being Darnold, Rodgers, trade for Dak. trade for Kyler. Like there are options out there. I think Pittsburgh is going to be heavily involved in getting another quarterback in the house.
And then Najee Harris, his contract's up. A rough outing for his 6 for 17,
game. And he's had a good season. So it's just like it's a really bad note to leave on the season because like it's another 1,000-yard season. He had almost 40 catches, dude. So like this is a bad game for Najee.
Yeah, I don't expect him back. I think Pittsburgh's a sneaky Ashton Janty landing spot.
Pick like 22-ish?
Because, yeah, and Janty, he's incredible, but like you never know where a running back's going to go in a draft.
He'll be off the board.
I think he goes top 10, but if you told me he fell out of the top 10, I'd be like, okay, I get it. Teams don't value running backs. Like
I 100. There's an 80% chance he falls out of the top 10. Like I think his draft range is like 7 to 15. But I think once you hit like that 15 range, I think someone's gonna end up trading up for him if it's like one of those really good teams that are just a running back away. Maybe it's Pittsburgh. Maybe it's Pittsburgh. Because who knows? Like free agents, they could all change. But like there's a chance they just bring in a quarterback. They touch up on pieces, and all Pittsburgh's really missing is that running back at that point. So then,
yeah, I know Dallas is everyone's favorite landing spot for him. They draft 12,
gross.
So you would figure that's probably his floor.
Gross.
But after that, like Miami's probably not going to take him. Indianapolis is off the table. Atlanta's off the table. Arizona maybe, but they just drafted Trey Benson. They just paid James Conner. It would be kind of silly to draft a running back at 16, and then Cincinnati and Seattle. I don't see them going there. They would have to jump Denver. Denver's in front of them. If Ashton Janty makes it to Denver, Sean Payton needs to draft that guy.
You would.
And if they do...
Scary business. Janty's almost a first-round pick in fantasy at that point, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, so Pittsburgh's got a lot to do. I also hope they bring in a reliable option to pair next to George Pickens because Calvin Austin and Van Jefferson.
You and I... You and I quick talked about the podcast being they bring in Rodgers. That means they bring in Adams and Pickens with Rodgers. You bring in a decent running back. That's going to cook, dude. That's a great coaching staff with some decent veterans on a team. I think that could work out well for Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Speaking of Denver, they lost 31-7 to the Buffalo Bills, which is crazy because Bo Nix threw that. What was it? 50, 60-yard touchdown catch to Troy Franklin.
A 50-yard touchdown
to put them up 7-0. And then Will Lutz missed a field goal going into half. Like this game realistically should have been 10-10 going into half, and then Buffalo made incredible second half adjustments, and they just took this over. But hey, it was a win for Denver on the season despite this loss. Like they were better than any of us projected.
100%.
Bo Nix. Tip the hat to him. He had an incredible rookie year. Way better than I thought he was going to have. I saw him as a low ceiling kind of guy coming in. We talked about that during the draft cycle. I actually he's completely changed my mind on him. Like I think he's got a real legitimate ceiling, and I also think that translates to fantasy football too. Like I didn't see him as a fantasy guy, but he's done great this year. He finished as a QB1. I think Bo Nix going in next year, sneaky fantasy pick, especially if they get him some more weapons, get him a reliable running back, another option maybe next to Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, and Troy Franklin, like a tight end, whether it be Colston Loveland or Tyler Warren, or even later with Howard Fanning or Mason Taylor. Like tight end class is pretty deep. So I think that the Denver offseason is going to be interesting. I think they're a team whose arrow is pointing up, and the defense is incredible.
Yeah, I think they could really use like a tight end here. Sean Payton loves using tight ends, dude. We've seen it with Jimmy Graham in New Orleans and whatnot. And there's a lot of tight ends in this draft that you could really help Bo Nix out here and get a running back in-house. Denver's on the up and up for sure, dude. And Bo Nix has looked every bit the quarterback I thought he could be, and then 10 times that, dude. Like, he's already hit the floor I knew he could hit, and he's already shot past it. So, hell yeah, dude. Yeah. God bless Bo Nix.
Yeah. Hey, and hats off to just the rookie class in general. The 2024 rookie class has just been better than anyone expected. And that's excluding the two guys who were deemed can't miss in Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison, who they weren't the best at their position. Like that, you can argue that Caleb Williams was the fourth best rookie quarterback.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And Marvin Harrison was outplayed easily by Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr.
Lad McConkey.
Yeah, Lad. And
yeah,
like Marvin was on par with like Roma Dunze, who was a third receiver on his team.
Yeah, dude.
And then the defensive guys.
Quinn Yod.
Defensive guys didn't get drafted till late. Yep, Jared Verse. Absolutely killer. Incredible.
Absolutely killer.
Yeah.
It's been a great draft class. It was so much fun to like scout and do the last year's draft class.
We started this podcast on the right.
We started the podcast essentially because of that draft class. We were like, we have to like talk about this draft class more. Because like we've been doing the draft class thing for like 3 or 4, maybe I think like 4 or 5 years now. And this last year's class just blew every prior class out the water, dude. Last year's class was unbelievable. And to see like the big guys do it, like Jaden Daniels, he's probably had the greatest rookie quarterback season of all time. And that's like the history of the NFL. Jaden Daniels just stepped on the field and has just been like, hey, hold my beer real quick. I'm going to go do what nothing has been done. So I love this draft class. Hopefully next year's draft class it's got high expectations, brother. We didn't even mention Brock Bowers. What are we doing? Brock Bowers is unbelievable, dude. Like, so good, dude.
Yeah. Brock Bowers setting rookie record catches and then the tight end record for a season in yards. Malik Neighbors set the Giants record for catches in a season, not just by a rookie.
Yeah. By anyone. By anybody.
And then Lad McConkey set the Chargers receiving record. Brian Thomas Jr. was joined a class of like Odell, Randy Moss, and Jamar Chase and receivers who had 1,100 yards and double-digit touchdowns. Like incredible stuff from these guys. Like they've been so fun, and just like seeing the guys you were high on pay off is just a even better feeling. Like it validates like maybe you are okay. Like that's the word, because we're just two guys. We've never played football
for sure.
I practiced 4 practices in middle school, and that was it.
Oh Godspeed, brother.
Like, yeah, I threw up. It was tough. So, Buffalo though, before we got sidetracked there. James Cook,
Buffalo is unbelievable.
120 and a touchdown, 17 touchdowns. He like led the position players in touchdowns on the season.
He had 18 regular season touchdowns, and then he's still out here getting playoff touchdowns. So Cook's another guy that he's going to be very high drafted in fantasy next year, dude. Like 18 touchdowns, it's going to be hard to repeat, dude, but that's a monster season, dude. Yeah. And I don't even think he had 1,000 yards, which is unbelievable.
No, I think he finished with like 980.
This says he has 1,009. I don't know if this is counting in his playoff game.
Yeah, but and then Josh Allen's just doing this without like reliable wide receiver weapons. Like Curtis Samuel led the team in receiving yards.
I think that's my take on why Josh Allen should be MVP. Like I'm still on the board that it's Barkley. Barkley's still my MVP, but it's not going to go to Barkley, so it's down to Allen and Lamar. And what was the narrative around Allen all like off season going into the? We're kind of low key worried about Allen. He's still going to be fine. But who's he going to throw the ball to? James Cook is fine, but he's not reliable yet. And all of that just went to the wayside, and Josh Allen was quarterback 1. Amazing season. With no wide...
Quarterback 2. Lamar was quarterback 1.
And no receivers over 1,000 yards. And that's just unbelievable. Like, the talent around Josh Allen compared to Lamar, I would give it to Allen if I had to pick between the quarterbacks, but I'm still leaning Barkley. I'll die on that hill.
Yeah. Well, Lamar was named first team All-Pro, so chances are it is him, because those guys who vote on that are also the MVP voters.
We'll see.
All right, the NFC games. Philadelphia beat Green Bay 22-10. Jordan Love, rough going for him. 3 interceptions, 212 yards. Josh Jacobs was nice, though, 81 yards and a touchdown. The Packers lost all their receivers. Christian Watson was already hurt going into the game. Jaden Reed got hurt in the game. Romeo Doubs had a scary injury on a hospital ball from Jordan Love. So it was just a tough sled in here for the Packers. Like they just couldn't get anything going between injuries and just a poor offensive play. And
But hey, man, they all had better stats than AJ Brown, so it's all right.
yeah, and like the Eagles, like Jalen Hurts only had 130 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Jalen Hurts went 90 minutes in between completions. That's a whole movie. 90 minutes without a completion.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Yeah.
And I'll be the first one to back Jalen Hurts up. There are a lot of negatives that a lot of people say about Jalen Hurts that I do not agree with. This game was rough, dude. This game made it really hard for me to sit on this podcast and still defend him as much as I'm willing to do.
Yeah, and in the Eagles' defense, thankfully, they have an incredible defense. Maybe the best in the league. One of the best defenses in football, and Saquon Barkley. And that's what got the job done. Quinyon Mitchell, first interception of the season on a beautiful play. Nolan Smith's coming around. He
looked great. He looked so fast off the ball.
Zach Baughn's been an incredible pickup for them at linebacker. He had an interception. He's had a great season just in general.
Yeah, he's had a great season.
This defense, so good, and it's going to be able to help them when the offense is having their deficiencies that they were having this past week. But Green Bay's got a good defense, so give them some props. They were just kind of in over their head between injuries and just how things would go. Like they turned the ball over like immediately into the game.
It was right off the bat on the kick return, and the game should have been a lot closer just based off the way the teams played, but it's rough, man. The injuries kept coming back to Green Bay for sure, but man, their defense played their heart out. And a lot of like the AJ Brown and Devontae Smith stuff was their defense really locked both those guys down. There wasn't many opportunities for Jalen Hurts to get the ball to them. And that's why I'm still very pro Jalen Hurts going forward. Like a lot of that was the Packers defense, and a lot of it is Jalen Hurts and Kellen Moore. But we got to give the props to Green Bay's defense for really showing up. This game should have been a lot closer just the way they played, but the Eagles have that defense, dude.
We got to kind of look at ourselves in the mirror and kind of maybe adjust how we feel about Jordan Love. This year's been real touch and go for him. He had a lot of hype coming in the season. He got the big contract.
Still identical, dude. It's so crazy. Like they were identical in the offseason in my eyes, and Stroud had the upper hand. And I really didn't understand why, but I don't think any gap was further. Like in my eyes, they're still like almost back to back if I had to rank my quarterbacks.
Yeah, but also from a standpoint of like
they have a lot to prove.
Jordan
now.
Love, wasn't that neither of them were as good. As
but that's what I'm saying. They both fell down.
Like
it's crazy how their trajectory is. It's going the same way. They're at the highest of highs, and now they're just the lowest of their lows. So. They both have a mountain to climb up, for sure.
Yep. And then Washington and Tampa Bay. There's the good game of the weekend.
Speaking of highest of highs, baby. Jaden Daniels.
The Commanders, the cardiac Howdies. Just another last-second win for them. They beat Tampa Bay 23-20.
One on a doink kick, dude.
Yeah. Zane Gonzalez, I don't know if you saw the thing where he was like
his OCD helmet, was acting up, dude.
He's got like insane OCD.
You're talking to someone he was doing it, and I'm like, this man is having a panic attack, and he went out there and delivered that kick, dude. So shout out to him. He was feeling the emotions hard right there, dude.
Yep. And Washington's offense, they did this without a run game, and we both said it was going to be tough for them to run on Tampa.
So
Vita Vea is an absolute monster. Like Eckler was only 8 for 27. Brian Robinson 10 for 16. Jaden Daniels had 36 on the ground, but the poise of this man. There's a rookie,
not a throw
just coming out.
There's not a throw or a situation that I don't think Jaden Daniels can deliver in the NFL. He's right there in the coolest of cools with Joe Burrow and Tom Brady, as much as you want to say. Like he doesn't flinch, dude. He doesn't fold. He doesn't turn the ball over. He makes clean play. He's a legitimate pocket passing quarterback with the athleticism of a fucking running back, dude. Like, hey, Jaden Daniels is he's the dude.
Can we just talk about LSU in general?
Oh yeah, fucking
a few years ago.
Magnet.
Burrow, Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and now Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. Like, there's a chance that like you can make a case that like a few years down the road, Burrow and Daniels are the top 2 quarterbacks in football, and then the top 4 receivers are Jefferson, Chase, BTJ, and Malik Neighbors.
That's a different breed, dude, down there. They know how to produce players, and it's a talent factory, dude. Them and Ohio State are just out here pumping out talent left and right, dude.
Yep. Terry McLaurin, Diami Brown, great games from them. Both 89 yards, both had a touchdown.
Terry McLaurin is going to be an interesting talk in the offseason, dude.
Going into the, yeah.
He finished wide receiver 6 in PPR, dude.
Yeah. And Bobby Wagner has been so important for this Washington team in terms of developing this defense, being the leader, being the veteran presence. Like, he's as important to this team as Jaden 100%. Daniels.
We talked about in the offseason
in terms of like their success.
About like the veterans they brought in and the coaching staff, just the vibe and like the talent change that.
Yeah, you've been all in on Washington.
100%. They brought in cultured guys with cultured coaches, and then they brought in Jaden Daniels. Like, all 3 of those guys are culture changers, and it just hit on all 3 levels: coaching, players, and ownership management. So the Commanders are only on the up and up here, and like they 13 wins this year, dude. Like that's no bad at the eye. They went in here 12 regular season wins. They got a playoff road win. We talked about how rare that is on the pod for a rookie to do. So, I don't know, dude.
First quarterback since Russell Wilson.
As a Giants fan, I truly hated talking up the Commanders all offseason. I'll be doing it again all offseason again, dude. Them in Philly. I don't see my shift changing at all.
Speaking of guys that are going to be interesting to watch for fantasy next year, Tampa Bay running back Bucky Irving, our guy.
Podcast, baby. Yeah. Well, we've been backing Bucky all offseason, all draft process. And hey, dude, he's out here and he's easily been the best rookie running back, bar none. It's not even close, dude. And he's just another rookie that we didn't even bring up, dude. He had an amazing season down here in Tampa, dude. Like, he physically ripped the starting job away from Rashad Wright and went out here and had 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns, 50 catches. So,
how many carries did Rashad White have on Sunday for Tampa Bay?
I don't know. Do you want me to answer that, or do you want me to? What do you want me to do here?
No, I want you to answer. I have it in front of me.
I would say it was like 4 or 5, but I would assume it's less than that. It's amazing. And
Bucky Irving had 17.
I like Rashad White. I've packed him on the pod. I think he's a really good PPR option in fantasy.
I also love Rashad White.
But Bucky Irving's just a different breed, dude. Like, he is an actual 3-down back at this point, and he just bounces off tackles. He's so good at finding the hole. He's so patient. He's the eye test. Everything you watch Bucky Irving play in Oregon, it's all coming out right now in the NFL. And I get he's small. He's 5'10", under 200, but he doesn't play it, dude. He plays so big.
Yep. And then you can bring out all the measurables and the intangibles and all the testing stuff. I get it. That's somewhat important, but eventually you got to like go with your gut. And we weren't overly worried about the measurements and his poor testing. Like, we're just like, I'm going to trust the film. I'm going to trust what I see with my eyes. And it was like the end of the world. I saw people drop him out of their top 10s.
Like, his combine numbers and his people were like, it's Bucky Irving's dog shit. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He went out there not in pads and ran slow. Okay, whatever. How often is he not in pads and running a straight line? Oh, once? It's only for the combine? Oh, okay. What do you do at Oregon? Oh, he was absolutely amazing. Go watch his tape at Oregon. Like, but I'm so glad Bucky broke out, dude. He's a dog.
He's a guy like
he's like a second. He's like a second round guy.
Second round,
he's like a second guy. Yeah, second round guy for sure.
Like him or James Cook next year.
Oh man, probably Cook. I trust Buffalo a little bit more, but you're trying to repeat on touchdowns, and that's so hard. Like, look at Raheem Mostert this year. Like, he is all Raheem Mostert.
Look at James Cook the year before.
Exactly. At fucking 0 rushing touchdowns or something like that. So, like, touchdowns are going to be iffy for James Cook. He's not going to hit 18 next year, but hopefully he hits like 8 to 10. But that's what Bucky had this year. So that's a hard call for sure.
Telling you, I think I take both guys over Christian McCaffrey.
My God.
I'm also taking both guys over Brees Hall.
If you ask me that question right now, I agree. But if you ask me that question in 6 months and I hear all these reports about McCaffrey, you know I'm going to be in, dude. You know I'm going to be in.
He's going to be Nick's RB1, Christian McCaffrey.
No, but if I had to do like a hot take, he's probably like my RB4. Just right off the bat. Okay. McCaffrey will be a top 5 for me for sure.
Hey, Mike Evans, 7 for 92, 1 touchdown, absolute dog. And Baker Mayfield, 185, 2 touchdowns. He had some turnovers, and ultimately that may have cost him the game. And you know that's eating Baker up. There was the shot on the sideline after they kicked that field goal, and he was just shaking his head in disgust because he had that botched snap fumble, whether that was on him or not. But he's taking the shoulder. As the true leader, he's just like, that's on me.
And that's what you want out of your quarterback. Baker's literally everything I would want in a quarterback. So Baker's another guy. I think he got the raw end of the deal with how Cleveland did him dirty. But I'm glad he ended up getting his bounce back story, getting paid here in Tampa. Go off, King. You deserve this, dude.
I right now, you ask me, I'm probably picking Tampa again to win this division. As much as I love Michael Penix in Atlanta, this roster's deep in Tampa. Mike Evans going to be back.
Of course.
Jalen McMillan really came on. There's always the chance Chris Godwin's back. They got a great running back group. Bucky and Sean White. And
Levante David does not get enough credit.
Get them a true edge rusher.
Oh, that would be great.
And we're cooking. Antoine Winfield Jr.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, Levante David's been out here doing this for over a decade now, dude, and he's just been consistently good. He deserves his flowers at the end of the day, dude. So it's really cool to see Levante David still out here doing that. He was out here. Yeah, there were talks back when Luke Kuechly was playing on like the debates where who was going to be better, and that's how long he's been playing, dude. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like Levante David's been doing this for a long ass time. Luke Kuechly's going up for the Hall of Fame this year, and Levante David is still out here making sideline to sideline plays, dog. Yeah, he's built different.
He had that play where he caught Jaden Daniels.
Unbelievable, dude. It is unbelievable. Yeah. So flowers out to Levante.
They drafted his replacement. His replacement's not even there anymore.
Exactly.
White.
He's like, oh no, that guy's gonna hit the bricks, dude. I'm gonna be here. Don't you worry.
Yeah, Levante David, absolute superstar. Tampa's high upside for next year. I think they'll be okay.
I think it's them in Atlanta. But hopefully Carolina does some fun stuff in the offseason, dude.
It's not going to be New Orleans.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. Final game Monday. We don't have to talk about this one. We can just move on to the divisional round. The Rams beat Minnesota 27-9, and it wasn't even that close.
Yeah, it really wasn't. It's kind of like the Pittsburgh-Baltimore effect here.
Sam Darnold was horrid.
Bad. He was bad.
The offensive line, it's not all on Sam. Dude. It's not all on Sam.
9 times.
Also, but this has been a problem all year. Anytime he's had pressure, he just doesn't throw the ball away. He takes.
That's kind of been his thing, though. He puts hero ball. Yeah, he holds the ball unnecessarily long. But he's not the type of quarterback who should be playing hero ball. No. But when you're down big in playoff games, and this is the biggest game he's ever played compared to the Detroit game, because this is a playoff game. I get it. It's rough, dude. It's hard, dude. But like at the end of the day, 14-3, dude. Like Darnold, he was good. He had a great season.
14-3 doesn't matter at this point. The Vikings are the first 14-win team to not win a first-round playoff game in NFL history. The Rams essentially copy-pasted Aaron Glenn's scheme. They were pressuring Sam Darnold and the Vikings all day, and the Rams aren't even a team that like blitzes a lot, but like Jared Verse, Kobe Turner,
they have the talent to do it.
Brandon Fisk, and I can't wait for the showdown between them and Philadelphia's line.
Oh yeah, for sure. That game's gonna be a bloodbath, dude. Like next week's games should be pretty good on paper. Yeah. The Rams played not everything's so well, dude. The Rams
not everything's on Sam Darnold. There was the funky little Matt Stafford fumble that they said was a pass, that kind of sway thing. Because like if that's called a fumble, it's 10-7, and we're talking about a different ball game. But That
It's
kind
an
of
offensive-driven league, dog. So
yeah.
So of course,
Bill
that was
Belichick.
a pass. Looking down at the ground and just shuffling the ball forward. Oh, that's a pass.
Yeah. As much as the loss is on Sam Darnold, it's also on Kevin O'Connell. And I love Kevin O'Connell. I think he's an incredible coach. I think he's one of the best coaches in football. I think he's a great evaluator of talent. I think he's a great developer of talent. And like you saw that with Sam Darnold this year, the step that he took. And I think a big part of that is Kevin O'Connell. But Kevin O'Connell struggles with adjusting, and he struggles against coaches who are better than him. We saw Dan Campbell outcoached him. And then this past week, Sean McVay outcoached him. And his offense, it's a lot of like development, and that's why Darnold holds the ball on so long, because Jefferson and Addison run deeper routes, and it takes a while to go. But he's got to adjust, and the lack of run game didn't help. Aaron Jones has been predominantly great this year, but the back half, the age caught up to him. He hasn't been as good, and the interior offensive line for Minnesota is a shit show. Bradbury, Brandel, those guys, they're not starting caliber offensive linemen. So there's some adjustments. Minnesota's going to have a ton of cap money. They got a lot of people whose contracts are expiring. And, the general manager, Collazo, said that the Minnesota, when he took over, was going to be a competitive rebuild. And 2 of the 3 seasons, he's won 13 and 14 games. And that's also on Kevin O'Connell. So Minnesota played with house money this year. They weren't supposed to win 14 games. They were projected to win 7. They were supposed to finish in last place. It was just a tough outing, considering they've been in the upper echelon of teams this year, and they come out and throw out a dud here in the playoffs.
Yeah, dude, you said that. I'm not going to try to say anything that you didn't say. It's on Darnold. It's on O'Connell. It's on the offensive line. It's on the run game. It's on everything.
Hey, I can't wait to see JJ McCarthy. And that's disregarding anything Darnold this year, but he was drafted to be the future, and I'm generally excited for what this team's going to be potentially with a quarterback with that sort of upside. And Sam should get paid. Sam Darnold is a starting quarterback in the NFL.
I 100% agree. I think he's on the same level as Baker's really good. I don't think he's quite Baker. I think he's Geno. I think he's right there with Geno. So, but that's only the tier under Baker and Dak and all those guys. Like Darnold, at the end of the day, is a starter. I agree. There are teams out there that are going to be willing to pay him 20, 25, maybe even $30 million. But he was on the borderline of getting $45 million a year, and he definitely lost.
The last 2 weeks,
he's thrown a lot of money into the trash.
Yeah, but
he's still gonna get paid, dude.
The Rams, though, are an incredible football team, and I said it coming in like this was one of the teams that did not want to see.
100%. They are a well-coached, well-talented team.
Is the second best coach in football in my eyes behind Andy Reid.
I agree.
Matt Stafford, great game. Kyron Williams, incredible running back. Puka Nacua is an absolute monster, despite the 5 for 44. It doesn't look great on a stat score, but anytime this guy had the ball, and he never stops moving. He pushes defenders around. Cooper Kupp's become forgettable, but he had an incredible catch.
He's still so talented. He had 5 catches over the last 5 games, so it's pretty rough here for Cooper Kupp.
He's got the same amount of 1,000-yard seasons as
I was going to bring that up, that they were drafted the same year, and Kenny Golladay and Cooper Kupp have the same exact many 1,000-yard seasons.
Products of Matt Stafford, baby.
But I don't even believe Cooper Kupp just gets hurt a bunch.
I don't believe that with Cooper Kupp. Yeah,
Cooper Kupp, he's so talented, dude. It's just hard for him to put. It's because he does the dirty work, dude. He's out here blocking like offensive linemen,
just like Puka Nacua. The Rams got a type.
100%. Jordan Whittington's the same way. They're dogs. Like the Rams know what kind of receivers they want, and they're Hines Ward. They're guys that are going to get in your face. They're going to block you to the ground in case Kyron's got the ball running behind him. And they're not guys you want to get blocked by, dude. Like they're physical guys. So the Rams are a dangerous
and it's the
team.
perfect balance because you got Kupp, Nacua, and Whittington, all similar style players.
Oh yeah.
And then you look at their next group of receivers: Demarcus Robinson, Tyler Johnson, Tutu Atwell, flashy, big play kind of guys.
They're gonna take the tops off.
Like they got to type and it works. And Sean McVay is just moving everybody around. He's an incredible coach.
He's so good, dude.
Yeah. All right. Before we dive into our divisional rounds, let's shout out our friends over at Cafe Collazo. You guys know the drill. There's a code, draft it up. You get 10% discount at checkout if you're a coffee drinker. Go check out their stuff. Like I said the previous weeks, they got 3 roasts out right now, light, medium, dark. They're incredible. They taste fresh. They use fresh beans. You got to ground them up yourself. None of that pre-ground stuff that has cockroaches in it. That's a thing. But it's fresh tasting coffee. It's great. They're local, Philadelphia-based product right here, 40 minutes from us. Go check them out. They got some good stuff. If you're a big coffee guy, I can't start my morning without a cup of coffee. Shoot, I've been up since 3 a.m. I worked this morning, and Cafe Collazo got me through the day. That's Cafe Collazo, Collazo. Use the code DRAFTEDUP for a nice 10% discount at checkout.
What the fuck did you say about cockroaches?
Cockroaches. There are bits of cockroaches in pre-ground coffee. They
like
kind
that,
of
the government allows because we live in a fucked up place.
Yes, the FDA, because they get into the beans and like they can't get them out, so they get grounded up. So
you're talking to a guy who works at a can. I get it. We're allowed a certain amount of stuff, and it's kind of shady. Yeah, this is America, brother. Oh man, yeah, we can have a certain amount of plastics in our food. It's all good. We're healthy. We'll get us.
I've told people the cockroach thing, and they're just like, I drink ground coffee, I have to switch. And I'm like, well, you should switch anyways. The beans taste better when you ground them up yourself.
Like boned-in, boneless wings, dude. Like, the bone-in just tastes better, dude. Beaned coffee, grounded up yourself, just tastes better, dude. The flavor's there for it.
But hey, I still be drinking pre-ground coffee.
Hey, man, I still sometimes be eating boneless wings too, dude. So I get it.
Yeah, still drinking Mountain Dew Code Red with that Red 40, brother.
No more Red 3. The United States government blocked Red 3 now, so hey, we're getting there.
Yeah. All
Progress. Right. No TikTok enough. Though. That's banned. That's
this
don't get me on a TikTok ban.
This isn't
boy. Back to this game.
Think there's any politicians that are just real big into fantasy football? Obama?
Yeah, maybe Obama. Obama talked ball. He knew basketball.
AOC? She young, she hip with the community.
If you give me a platform to run on fantasy football, I'll vote for you. Who cares?
Donald Trump probably doesn't know his Yahoo login, so
let's back to this. Let's not talk about politics.
That's enough. Yeah. And then either does Joe Biden. So don't take that as an anti-Trump thing. It's just an anti-old person.
Oh, it's a very anti-old white person thing for sure.
How do you chime into the computer?
Ugh.
All right. Saturday.
Hey man, we know who's playing Saturday at 4:30. Now we know who's playing.
The Houston Texans travel to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. These two played not too long ago, and the Chiefs beat them up pretty good. And we unfortunately lost Tank Dell in that game to an injury. And hey, he was at the game on Saturday, walking around on crutches. So good for him. Chiefs are an 8.5 point home favorite over under a 41.5.
Rookie numbers. Pump them up.
Do the Texans stand a legitimate chance to win this game, Nicholas?
No. I'm sorry. I don't think so.
So are the Texans that we expected to show up against the Chargers?
It's not even that. Like, it's
against the Chiefs.
Like, the two key things that they needed last week were Mixon and Nico. It's going to be so hard for Mixon to pull out a 100-yard running game. And Nico, they have the ability to just lock down any one man, and they're going for the game. So you lock up Nico, you can't run. That leaves you with garbage receiver A, garbage receiver B, and the slowest man in the NFL, Dalton Schultz. And I think the Chiefs are going to show up. Like, they're going to come out here and they'll be like, oh, hey, by the way, we're the 1 seed, we're the home team, and we're still the Kansas City Chiefs. And I don't think it's going to be pretty come Saturday.
You're just out here disrespecting Bobby Trees, Robert Woods.
Bobby Trees.
And I will not stand for that slander, brother. But no, Kansas City was playing their best football there at the end. And I know you can make a lot of the narrative that Patrick Mahomes hasn't thrown a ball in a live game in like a month. With that. It's been 3 weeks since he's played legitimate football, but
your body needs it, dude. He's good.
think the Chiefs win. I think the Chiefs cover
agree.
that 8.5.
I agree.
I know they're notoriously bad at covering, and they've been getting these great lines all year, and they haven't hit them. But I think they do this one. I think Houston's, I don't think the defense is going to be enough to keep them in it. I don't think their offense is going to be able to do too much on the Kansas City defense.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Houston's offense is going to be able to keep up here. They won by 8 points last game, so I get the 8.5 spread. So it's right about where the line, but I could see it being 10. I don't think it's going to be particularly close.
Yeah. All right, and then our other Saturday game, it's a doozy. Prime time. The Washington Commanders travel to Detroit to take on the Lions. What do you think the spread is for this game?
6.5.
How about Detroit by 9.5 points?
I get it.
An over-under of 55.5.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. And hey, if I don't expect Washington to win, and if they go out there, it's been a win of a season for them. They got this far, and they go out, they lose to Detroit. Tip your hat to them, because we brought up during the game against the Bucs. Like, this has been a great season for Washington, and to go out there to lose to potentially the best team in football in Detroit, no shame in that.
I've just been sitting here trying to think of like one argument I could be like, yeah, I think Washington can win this. I don't. I just really don't. That breaks my heart, dude. Like, I've really been pulling for Washington just to be decent, and they've exceeded any expectation even I could have set for them, and I probably had the highest expectations out of anyone I know for Washington. The Detroit's coming off a week off, dude. Their team's getting healthier now. Like,
they needed it. David Montgomery's going to be back. They're still banged up,
but exactly. They're getting Montgomery back. They're getting some other guys back. Anzalone's back now full time, and he was so helpful versus Minnesota. He completely changed their defense.
Yeah, Alex Anzalone. I don't like him.
Detroit's a different type of football team right now. It's still a rookie quarterback on the other side. I'm just getting more depressed the more I talk about it. I just hope the Commanders look good, dude. That's all I want.
I'm gonna try this way. If there's any coach in the league who can out-grit and out-tough Dan Campbell, it's Dan Quinn.
That is true. He was really playing Dan Quinn football out there last week.
These two are both. These teams are going to be both going for it on fourth down. This is going to be a fun game. I think Washington covers.
I hope so.
I hope
they cover, dude.
I think they lose by 4 or 5. I think Washington's going to hang. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be
That's
great.
all I can ask for. That's all I want.
And I don't think it's going to be a situation where his inexperience being a rookie is going to be the reason they lose. I just think Detroit's too overpowering, talented.
Detroit's too much for.
And I think that's going to put them
for sure. Top. But hey, man, the Commanders had a great run, and if it does end this week, hats off to them from top to bottom. That organization's been amazing this season. Hopefully, it doesn't end, dude, and they could pull out some type of upset, dude, because that would be glorious, dude. If they can come out here and knock off Detroit, dude, literally the Super Bowl is in the picture then at that point. Because if they can beat Detroit, they can beat anybody. So,
yeah, Los Angeles and Philly are rooting for Washington. Because that means they get a home game. Well, maybe the Rams get a home game.
Hey, shout out to Arizona, though. They did a wonderful job of getting that field up and ready, and even putting SoFi Stadium signs up over there. They did a great job.
Arizona finally hosted a playoff game, and it wasn't even their own team.
Devastating fires.
I do think what ultimately is Washington's demise will be their lack of run game.
I
just don't think Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson are going to be enough to compete with Detroit, especially with Gibbs and Montgomery back at full throttle. I think that's what's going to push Detroit over the top. But I think this game's going to be much closer than the 9.5 spread. I do think they're going to get close to the over-under of 55 points. This should be the game of the week. Washington and Tampa was my game of the week last week, and it was. And I just think the close games are going to catch up to Washington here, and Detroit pulls it off.
You have more faith in the Commanders then to beat the Lions, or do you have more faith in Houston to beat the Chiefs?
I have more faith in Washington to beat Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's out. All right.
Yeah, Houston's. Sorry, I just don't think that offense can hang.
I don't think there's a legit chance for either of those teams, to be honest. I think the Saturday games are kind of throwaway games, but I really hope.
Wow, throwaway. Okay.
No, like
Man, I'm the Washington guy.
Right. I just think Detroit's too much, dude. Like, coming out a week off, team really needed it. They had extra 2 weeks to compare now for Jaden Daniels or theoretically whoever they played.
Well, shoot, Dan Campbell was preparing for Kevin O'Connell. He straight told him, "I'll see you."
I get that,
weeks.
But he was preparing for any situation as good coaches would have been. It's just gonna be so hard, dude. Like, oh man, I don't know. I think the Chiefs win by 10. I think Detroit can win by 10.
Okay. Sunday, 3 p.m. The Los Angeles Rams
go, baby.
Travel to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. The Eagles are 6-point home favorites over under 43.5.
Is disrespectful to the Rams.
The Rams are coming off a short week, so there's that. There's the running on the high and the momentum of the Fires and them putting their city on their back. So, and that I'm sure takes a toll on them as well. So, does the Cinderella story end here? Because the Rams kind of feel like the team who's got all the media wants them to win. The media was sort of portraying Minnesota to be the villain. Like, oh man, if they beat the Rams,
they're beating LA.
nobody was talking about Minnesota. It was all like, and understandably so, the horrific stuff going on in Los Angeles and California. So the Rams got the America-made story, and the Eagles did not play their best football on Sunday against the Packers. Yeah. So I agree that the 6-point spread is kind of disrespectful to an incredible Rams team, and any Sean McVay team
has a chance.
I don't think I'm giving them a spread of more than 3.
I agree. 3.5 should be the limit.
I would have set this line
100% agree.
For the Eagles.
I think the Eagles should be 3.5 point favorites, at most 4.5. 6.5 is disrespect to the Rams. I think this is gonna be a fucking bloodbath, dude. I think both the Sunday games are going to be shootouts. They have the potential to be brawls.
If the Rams line can generate any sort of pressure like they did against Minnesota, Jalen Hurts is going to be
100%. But thankfully, Jalen Hurts has the best offensive line in football in front of him.
Yeah. Jordan Mailata, arguably the best left tackle in football. Lane Johnson, best right tackle in football. Interior line's really good. I can't wait to watch the battle of the trench there between those two. And then the Eagles' defense is really... I think the defenses are going to be what determines this game. I think both offenses are fine. They're not overly flashy. Like, since the Rams gave up all those points to Buffalo, they've only given up 30 points since
they've been locked down.
So this is going to be a defensive beatdown. Both teams' defenses are playing their best football right now. So, and that's ultimately why I do think Philadelphia's going to win. I don't want to pick them. Like you would think as the Vikings fan, I'd want the Rams to lose, but I think I like Sean McVay. I think the Rams, and I know I'm not a Matt Stafford guy, but if they would win the Super Bowl, I think he retires and he goes out on top.
I don't know if he would leave McVay high and dry without a quarterback.
Well, they can draft. They could sign Sam Darnold. There was that talks that they were going to trade for.
There we go. Hey yo. Yeah. Now we're talking.
Matt Stafford retires. The Vikings franchise Sam Darnold, and the Rams and Vikings work out a deal. Vikings get some draft capital, which they don't have anything this year. They have a 1 and 2 5s and maybe a comp pick for Kirk Cousins.
Everyone's like,
so
Detroit's the cool story. They've sucked for so long. Yada yada. I want all 3 of the NFC teams to win more than Detroit. Like, I'm all in on Philly. I've been all offseason. I'm all in on Commanders. And then I'm all in on the Rams, too. Like,
same. I hate the Lions.
The whole offseason, I've gone to bat for all 3 of these other teams. Like, I think the Rams are better than the Niners, and I think they can win the division. And they did that. And the Commanders did what I thought. And the Philly, I don't know, man. I like all 3 of these other teams more than Detroit.
We're in a scenario like I don't like Philadelphia. I don't like Detroit. But all four of these teams, great Super Bowl representatives. I think all four of these teams could put on a great Super Bowl. But I think Philly wins based on, I think they're better defense. Quinyon Mitchell, Coop DeJean, Darius Slay, they're playing good football. Nolan Smith's really coming on as a pass rusher, and that's really propelling the Eagles' defense into another direction. And Zach Bond brought up an incredible season.
Is it legal for the Rams to convince Aaron Donald to come out of retirement right now and just, hey, just come play this one game versus Philly?
Yes, and
that happened.
Because I think with Deontay Johnson, he was cut by the Texans and the Ravens claimed him, and he's not allowed to play in the playoffs. So I think any sort of thing here,
they should have activated them before before the playoffs, just in case.
Like told Aaron Donald, like, hey,
you could take the whole season off.
Let us put you on IR designated to return,
and then if we make
we'll return you. We'll open your practice window.
If we make the playoffs, maybe you want to come play, get a ring, stop Saquon for us.
get another ring.
Man, but no, I think this is gonna be a great game, dude. But I think Philly at the end of the day takes it. Better defense, but man, man, God, I love both these teams. I love it.
I can't wait.
It's gonna be fun.
I can't wait to see Puka going up against Coop DeJean or Quinyon Mitchell.
When's the Natty? Not to get off topic, we're spitballing right here.
Monday. So we got 3 straight days of great football.
Sure, yeah, hell yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And then finally, Sunday evening, 6:30, the Baltimore Ravens travel to Buffalo to take on the Bills over under a 51.5. Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen. What's the spread here, Nick?
Oh my God, I don't know. 2.5.
Who's favored?
Buffalo.
Baltimore's favored by 1.5.
On the road.
On the road. It's pretty much a pick 'em, baby. And that's how I see this game. This game's
crazy, dude. This game is crazy.
I'll make my pick here, and there's a chance that after we record, I might be like, I might go with the other team. This is what worries me is that this game's going to be so great, and these two teams are just going to bully each other.
Themselves out. This is these teams.
The Chiefs are going to get a burned out team
exactly
and get their way to the Super Bowl.
Man, this game is... You can't even really predict this game because at the end of the day, it's arguably the two best teams in football this year going head-to-head, mano-a-mano. Winner goes on, loser goes home. Both these guys could be honestly playing for MVP. The winner of this game might just get the MVP award.
Well,
quote for quote.
MVP votes are already in.
Sure they are. But I get playoffs don't matter. Quote for quote. Oh, man. We got Lamar versus Allen. We got Henry versus Cook. We just got battles through and through. Defense versus defense. Hey, man. I'm all in for Sunday.
Yeah. This game is going to be incredible. And,
it's impossible to really pick.
Zay Flowers still hasn't practiced.
Now, I think not having Zay Flowers for this game...
It is a little more detrimental than the Pittsburgh game.
A lot harder because this game has the potential to be 40-42. And if you don't have Zay Flowers, 1,000-yard receiver out there for this battle, now it's kind of a problem because Pittsburgh, it was never going to be 42-42. At most, it was going to be 28-24, and you don't really need Zay for that. Not having Zay, dude, could be a big blow.
What worries me here is Buffalo's defense has a kryptonite. It was Milo. Sorry if that picks up.
Probably isn't even going to get picked up, and now you and I just sound crazy.
I mean, we talked about Boomer the dog, and he's never been heard on the podcast unless it's us.
Friggin' Boomer.
But no, Milo, my cat is back here growling behind me. It's dinner time. Buffalo's got a kryptonite, and it's their rush defense. They can't stop the run, and Baltimore runs with the best of them, brother.
Not the best.
So that's where I'm leaning. Baltimore was my Super Bowl pick into the playoffs. I think they're playing the best football. So they're going to be my pick. Ultimately, I want whoever wins this game to win the Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, those guys deserve a ring. Buffalo as a whole deserves a ring. I get you, Detroit does too.
Yeah, sure.
Whatever, but Baltimore has won a Super Bowl. Have you seen the little thing where Baltimore wins a Super Bowl every 12 years with a 28-year-old quarterback?
Nope. Is that when they did it with Flacco?
Well, it's been 12. It's been 12 years. Well, when Trent Dilfer won, he was 28.
That's crazy.
12 years later, Joe Flacco won at age 28. That was 12 years ago, and Lamar Jackson is at age 28.
Well, I'm picking the Bills. I don't like trends. Anti-trend guy over here. So Buffalo for the dub. But no, I was.
That's not very autistic of you.
I know my autism doesn't like that. No, but I was leaning Buffalo anyways. I just think they're a better team. But ask me again in 5 minutes, and we'll see how it goes. But
no, I'm going Baltimore. I think this game's gonna be incredible. Like I said, I hope whoever wins this game wins. I got
bad news, man. They gotta go to Kansas City next week, and it's gonna be rough, dude. These two teams, it's almost like playing Detroit. Like, it's gonna be such a battle that it affects your next week outcome.
Yep.
So I expect these teams to be really bruised up and beaten up come next week versus Kansas City.
Well, Buffalo did beat Kansas City, and Baltimore almost beat Kansas City. So that'll be a good game regardless. But that game, the Bills Ravens, is going to be great television. I'm going to have my popcorn ready. I took off work.
Smart.
For this. I told my boss, like, hey, I can't work Sunday. NFC Championship game or AFC Divisional game. Ravens Bills, brother.
Smart man. I'll be there.
Well, I also took off work on the slim chance the Vikings won. All right, let's end this show. Prospect Spotlight. We are 99 days as of this recording away from the NFL draft.
Right around the corner, baby.
And
Combine's coming up.
I have the draft order open on my screen, and it's got a legitimate countdown, so I can give you like the minutes.
I cannot wait
to the draft. Yeah, I'm excited despite the quote unquote lackluster draft class compared to last year. But hey, like any draft class compared to last year,
exactly. Any draft class compared to last year is going to be subpar.
Yeah, what I like about this draft class is this is a meat and potatoes draft class. You got some good line, the defensive line, especially edge rushers, interior defensive linemen. It's deep, and we haven't really talked about edge rushers, and we're both bringing an edge rusher to the table today. Mm-hmm. So, you want to start off, or you want me to go?
You can start off. You're probably doing the best edge rusher in the draft, so you might as well take it.
Yeah. Yep. If you ever heard of Abdul Carter from Penn State, I know we've brought him up in passing. But this dude is incredible, and going into things, I didn't want to buy into this hype because everyone was just making a big deal that Penn State colleges have weird traditions. Like the Penn State number 11s given to like the playmaker, and like Micah Parsons had it, and LeVar Arrington had it years before that. That's a real throwback. Well, Abdul Carter was given the number 11, and everyone's all. That's his pro comp. Everyone's comparing him to Micah Parsons. He's not, but he's got experience up until this past year. He was an off-ball linebacker, and this year they moved him full-time to edge, and he's been far and away the best player on Penn State. Like, he's the reason they were as good as they were. I get Drew Aller has a lot of pro upside. Not the best player. They got great running backs in Singleton and Allen. Unfortunately, both of them went back to school, so we won't get to really dive into their tape this year. They have no receivers. Tyler Warren's incredible. But Abdul Carter is the best player on this football team. His burst off the line, around the edge, spin. Like, I can't wait for him to do that bend drill at the combine that Dallas Turner ripped up last year, because I think Abdul Carter's going to blow that up. He's got a great, dip and rip. That's a term you'll hear a lot with edge rushers. He's got maybe the best in the class. He's so quick. He changes direction so fast. He's really physical. His hands are always moving, and not in a way where he's just flailing them around. He's trying to push you out of the way.
There is sometimes bad movement, and his is not bad movement. His is never pointless.
Yeah, but sometimes he's a little too quick, and it causes him to miss, the miss a tackle on a run, but he's athletic enough that he can drop back in coverage, which adds another element to his game. So, you get him in one of those defensive schemes where they love moving guys around. I think he's great for that. You can send him out in coverage. He's gonna be great off the edge as well. And that may be a problem. He's still really raw. Like I said, this is his first year as a full-time edge rusher, but he has all the makings of everything you look for. Dallas Turner was also really raw as an edge rusher, still a first-round pick. I think Abdul Carter's a little ahead of Dallas Turner in terms of edge rush ability. But he's, if he can slow down a little bit, not get so antsy with his quickness, I think it's going to improve his run game. Like I said, he was an off-ball linebacker, so he's pretty decent tackler. But he's so explosive. He's always playing like he's angry. Like he's just got a chip on his shoulder. Like somebody on the offense murdered someone in his family, and he's just going to take it out on them. Like he's so good. He was a 4-star recruit. He was also arrested in 2024 for a misdemeanor assault, but he attended a rehab program, so hopefully that's all behind him. But I think this dude is a special player. For sure. I think he's a top 5 pick in this draft. Super elite athlete. I think his ceiling is on par with any of the edge rushers from last year in Jared versus Dallas Turner, Leatu Latu.
If not, I think he's on better. Par with all those guys. Yeah. I think he's higher upside.
Yeah. Yep. I think he's so raw. If you can get the right coaching to kind of hone that in and let him continue to grow as an edge rusher, we might be talking about one of the best edge rushers in football. And there's a chance he ends up in Cleveland paired with Myles Garrett. And no, thank you. I don't want to play that.
Yeah, there's not a lot of pure blue chip talent in this draft class, and he's one of the guys that I would have the blue chip tag right on him instantly. He's the best defensive player in the draft in my eyes. I think he's going to be amazing. So I'll go with a guy that's not the top of my edge board, but who's pretty high. But I think he's like a second round guy-ish. It's Mike Green.
Oh.
You think he's going to go in the first?
You know how stingy I am with.
I think he's a second round guy.
Grades.
Even before I get into it, you got a first round grade on him?
As of right now, I have a first round top 20
I hope
grade
so.
on Mike Green.
I hope so, dude. But I think he's going to end up going in the second. I think he's going to fall out of the first. But yeah, it's Mike Green out of Marshall. 6'4", 250, dual sport athlete coming out of high school. He played football and wrestling. Wrestling is the first thing I look for in like line guys, offensive and defensive. If you played wrestling in high school and maybe even college, it's going to transfer your hands, your leverage. It's all transferable. And it really shows. He finished top 5 in a couple of tournaments at 220. So he's put on weight since then. But it all shows. He was super recruited coming out of high school. He had 25 offers. He ended up going to Virginia and then transferred to Marshall. Instant impact when he went to Marshall. He had 43 tackles, 6 sacks his first year. And then this year, dude, he set the bars. He set career marks across the board. 81 tackles, 38 of them being solo. 36 quarterback hurries, 3 forced fumbles. And then let's talk about his sacks. 17 sacks, brother. What? That's crazy, dog. He's a freak athlete. Like I said, he's 6'4", 250. He runs a 4.5. And that's crazy, dog. He's a weight room freak. His personal best on bench is 405. His squat's 525. The dude's a weight room freak. He runs out of the building. Super high tangible. Like his ceiling's infinite if he gets well coached and puts it all together. He obviously does have downfalls. He's not a pure motor guy. I've noticed he kind of gets lazy if the play's not going his way. It is what it is. He does lack ideal size to be the anchor key piece for a line. I think he's ultimately better playing off ball like a 3-4 linebacker. Put him in Pittsburgh, let him blitz freely from the outside. I think he has the potential to be an amazing off ball, outside blitzing linebacker. Drop back in the coverage here and there because he's quick. Like I said, he runs a 4.5, so he can keep up with tight ends. He can keep up with the running backs here and there. He's a super talented guy that I think has a really high ceiling in the NFL. He keeps his pad level pretty decent. I've noticed that. and his hands are heavy, dude. Like his wrestling hands, you could tell he wrestled. Once his hands are on you, he's going to move you out of his way. He knows how to use leverage. He knows how to use his weight. He's a dog. You have him as a first-round grade. I think he's going to sneak into the second. But at the end of the day, dude, he's an amazing prospect with a super high ceiling. He's not quite Abdul Carter, but who is at this point? It's just him. After that, it's kind of a toss-up. I do have him in my top 5 edge rushers right now, but I kind of see him as a 3-4 linebacker playing off ball, but there's nothing wrong with that. There's a world in the NFL where teams need blitzing linebackers. I think he's going to have a pretty good career.
Yeah. I think this guy is going to blow up the combine.
Dude, his combine is going to be crazy.
I think teams are going to fall in love with him. Like Dallas Turner blew up the combine, and that propelled everybody that like this guy was the best edge rusher in the class.
So you really see it as a Chop Robinson thing. Chop Robinson blew up, I
actually think I would give him a higher grade than Chop Robinson coming out. Yeah, he kind of has the same play style as Will McDonald.
Yeah.
Jets edge rusher, and I loved him.
You were very high on Will McDonald. I had
a first-round grade on him, and I just love those twitched up edge guys. Like his get off is great.
His first step is killer, dude.
He's my edge too, behind Abdul Carter. I am that high on him. I mean, I've only watched 2 games, so I'm not fully in on him. So, but preemptively, I think that's going to continue though. Like, I think my biggest gripe with him, besides the motor, sometimes like you said, he tails off a bit. It's trying to figure out, he didn't play NFL competition at Marshall.
He dominated the competition he played, and that's what you need to look at.
I can't, and he's going to the Senior Bowl, so he's going to be going up against the elite level prospects in this draft. So if he bullies those guys around, I do think he's a first.
I don't even need to see him bully those guys, but I need to be able to see that you're keeping up.
Yeah, he needs to hang.
Yeah, I need to see that you're keeping up with these quote for quote first round, second round guys. But what you did at Marshall is what you should be doing at Marshall if you want to be able to be a first round, second round guy. 17 sacks that's crazy, dog. And like I get it's not high level competition, but at the end of the day, it's still really talented kids he's playing against. Like, I get lower name schools now aren't as competitive, but there's so many talented NFL ready prospects in the world. And it's just a coaching thing. It's an opportunity thing. They just haven't had the right time to shine. So he's playing against talented kids, but at the end of the day, I think Mike Green's going to be a pretty high drafted top 50 pick in the NFL for sure. So he has a pretty important 2 months leading up right now. You got to go out there, perform at the bowl. You got to blow up the combine, and he's going to interview great, dude. Like, Marshall kids they know what they're doing.
Yep, there's some good linemen at the Senior Bowl he's going to go up against.
The Senior Bowl's great this year.
Unfortunately, we're not going to see, the top guys like Kelvin Banks or Will Campbell.
Understandable.
But we're going to see some good Wyatt Milam, Ariante Mercery, Armin Membu, some guys whose names you're going to be seeing going first round. He's going to go up against those guys, and he's a competitor. I think he's going to hang with them. Like I said, I'm in. I am maybe too in, but he
has every tool.
He might be my Brian Thomas this year.
Reasonable.
Of just the guy I can't quit.
He has every tool and ability to go up.
I think he's a special player.
He is super special. He has all like the high ceiling abilities to be extremely special. He needs to be more coached and developed, but that's all NFL stuff. That's stuff that he's going to get on the upside in the NFL. So I'm very excited to see where his future leads. Hopefully he gets connected to a really good line coach and can really develop him into something special.
I low-key would love to see Raheem Morris get him in Atlanta.
That would be a great fit.
Atlanta needs an edge rusher. Raheem Morris, a great defensive-minded coach. I think that's where ultimately I'd love to see him go the most, just off the top of my head. That would make him a top 15 pick. And I think I can almost lock him in as a top 20 guy for me. I've liked what I've seen. I love this call out for you.
See, I think
I think Mike Green's a superstar.
I see. I think I'm trying to look at it like a really super realistic point, but Atlanta in the second round would be a really good spot. Washington in the back end of the first would be a great spot.
Oh, him with Dan
exactly.
Quinn,
Him with Dan Quinn. Pittsburgh has a lot of needs, but him with Mike Tomlin would also be a great fit. Mike Tomlin knows how to use any bit of talent a guy has, and he would be super quick off the ball for Pittsburgh with TJ Watt.
Here's the thing. I don't think he falls past Kansas City. I think Steve Spagnuolo
and another field day coach. He would have a field day with him, dude.
Wonders with him, with Chris Jones and George Karlaftis.
For sure.
Yeah, ultimately, I think the traits are too much that he doesn't go first round.
I hope so. I hope he does sneak into the first, dude. I really hope he does. I really see him as like a second round guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, great talent. I think he's good. No. I think he's one of those guys that a team would trade up for and get him 33. Like, he could be the first pick of the second round. One of those kind of guys where a team knows what they're going to get and they need to go up and trade for him. Because like the 33rd pick is usually someone who ends up panning out to be someone great. And they just happen to fall out of the first. Yeah. There's no shame in that.
Yeah. Yeah. A rare prospect over here where we both did edge rushers, but the edge class is
deep. Yeah. We got to start banging. Exactly.
Yeah. We didn't even get to talk about like Jalen Walker and James Pearson, Nick Scourton, and Princely Umamielen. Like, this is a good edge class. I can't wait to really dive in on all those guys. And like I said, real meat and potatoes draft class.
We need them.
Like,
the NFL needs them, dude.
Edge, interior lineman. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is going to be fun.
Running backs, tight ends.
Abdul Carter, Penn State. Mike Green, Marshall. I think my 1-2 edge guys, I think they're going to both be superstars.
Hopefully. The more superstars, the better the NFL is, brother.
Exactly. Yeah, you brought it up with the young corners at the beginning of the pod. It all comes together.
Exactly. That's a callback in the comedian world.
Yeah. Enjoy the podcast. So I hope
hopefully they enjoy the pod.
Enjoy playoff football this weekend. We will be back Wednesday, or not Wednesday.
This guy doesn't
Thursday.
even know days.
Yes, that's because my work schedule this week's been all out of whack, and we usually record on Thursday.
Yeah, we usually don't record on Wednesdays. It's a weird day for sure.
Yeah. So we'll be back Thursday. We'll recap the divisional round, dive into the NFC and AFC championship games, and if there's enough time, we'll do 2 prospects each, depending on filler there. So that's the podcast, Drafted Up Podcast. You know where to find us. Twitter at @DraftedUp_pod. Apple, Spotify, YouTube to watch or listen to the show. Search Drafted Up Podcast. We'll be there. Like, rate, subscribe, review, share, spread the word. We appreciate you guys. Stay safe out there. Weather's getting bad, so be careful. Don't do anything stupid, and enjoy football.
Hell yeah. Bye.
Adios.